Welcome to the third video in a series this week around toxic behaviors demonstrated by CEOs that bleed into our culture. And really, when it bleeds into our culture, starts to impact performance of every employee. So first post was around microaggressions. Yesterday's post was around turning our nose up to self-care. And today we're going to be talking about assumptions. Assuming the worst. So when a deadline is missed, a project goes blank, sales numbers aren't being hit, we can often see that executive leadership assumes the worst of the employee and then makes a commandment over what needs to be done. So when I was leading learning and development, that commandment was, we need more training, develop more training, do more training with people. And it is the worst thing we can do from learning and development is say yes to that request without investigating. You see, when we throw training at a problem where training isn't the problem, lack of knowledge or skill or ability, it's really expensive. By taking the time to investigate what is the real problem, we might actually find out some very interesting things. So when sales numbers aren't being hit, and as leadership, we assume it's because the individual is incompetent without actually ever speaking to them, we're leading with the worst of our point of view of the world. When we take the time in executive leadership to actually dive into conversation and discover what's underneath what I'm seeing, we may find out a whole host of things that have nothing to do with an individual's motivation or ability. And when we find out those things, what we end up doing is we actually end up doing and implementing the solution that cures the problem. So Einstein has this really famous quote that when he's given an hour to figure out a problem, he takes 55 minutes to figure out what the problem is, the root cause is, and 5 minutes to solve it. So why is it that sometimes we get caught in this cycle of assuming the worst? Well, we get caught in that cycle oftentimes because we're lacking two skills in emotional intelligence: impulse control. So when a number that we want or an expectation that we want isn't hit, we get an emotional flare, and our impulse control, if we don't have it, negates our pause to manage that emotion, and instead we ride the wave of that emotion and blurt something out or make a rash decision around it, like, let's train people more, let's fire this person, let's bring somebody else in new. And the other thing that we're really lacking is interpersonal relationship skills. We are not taking the time to invest in getting to know our people, to figure out what is the root cause so we can solve the root cause.